Welcome back to International Star Media, the Gold Star Standard at the Gold Star Standard. Reactions, reviews, and news you can use. Once again, I am your host, International Yada, for the records and the dollars. And check this out. We right back in the great state of Colorado. Colorado to decriminalize sex work. Senate Bill 97. Y'all be on the lookout for this. This might go down this year, 2026. Let's jump straight off into this. Check this out.
Well, right now, a bill is moving through the Colorado Senate, which will impact how the state's justice system treats sex work. Reporter Spence Breed spoke with one of the prime sponsors for the bill and has more.
A new bill aims to decriminalize commercial sexual activity between consenting adults in Colorado.
The reason why we're doing this is to allow those who are being taken advantage of, those who are being exploited, to be able to do something about it.
The bill repeals a few state criminal offenses, including prostitution and soliciting prostitution. This is a decriminalization process, not a legalization of sex work.
When we're decriminalizing, sex workers are still their own, they are themselves. If you legalize, they work for somebody. It's a endorsed, legalized pimping model, which we are not doing here.
The bill draws a line at decriminalizing sex work between consenting adults. Everything else that's currently considered a crime would still be illegal.
If you are taking advantage and trafficking children, that is still criminal, and you can still be held to the harshest penalties that exist. But this is really about adults that choose to do what they want to in a consensual way.
While states like Maine have signed partial decriminalization of sex work into law, Colorado is the first to approach it in a full decriminalization model.
When you are still criminalizing an aspect of this work, it will still push individuals down into the underground to engage in this activity, which will still continue to foster exploitation and to foster abuse.
Sponsors of the bill say it would create more protections for sex workers, also allowing them to get the support they need.
Right now, because it's illegal, workers are getting taken advantage of. They're getting beat, they're getting kidnapped, they're getting killed, and they don't have resources at their disposal to be able to combat that.
While the bill has been introduced in the Senate, it still has a long process ahead, and it also includes a petition clause.
We do have a petition clause in this bill. That means that it doesn't go into effect right away, and it allows the community, if they really hate this idea, that they can actually file a petition to repeal this at the ballot.
If it's passed, the bill won't affect people who have been previously charged with these crimes, only those in the future.
You heard it right there. Colorado to become the first state to fully decriminalize sex work. Okay? He said crimes like pimping are still outlawed. Here we go. Check this out. Colorado lawmakers to consider decriminalizing sex work among consenting adults. Once again, consenting adults. No use of force, for coercion, violence, and or the threat of violence. These are adult consensual sex workers. Okay? Here we go. Senate Bill 97 will repeal most prostitution laws, but maintain laws against pimping. Pay attention to this. Colorado. An explosive bill is in the pipeline for the state legislative session. For this state legislative session. Senate Bill 97 would decriminalize sex work among consenting adults in Colorado. SB 97 would repeal the state's criminal offenses for prostitution, soliciting prostitution, keeping a place of prostitution, and patronizing a prostitute. It would maintain current criminal penalties for pandering that involves menacing or criminal intimidation, and for pimping, but it changes terminology in those offenses by replacing prostitution with commercial sexual activity. So the wording is changing. Y'all pay attention to that. Instead of prostitution, it will be replaced by the legal term commercial sexual activity. Okay? And if you also paying attention to what they're replacing the word pimping with in a lot of these cases is human trafficker, okay? It's a very thin line what they are calling pimping and human trafficking. Y'all pay attention to this. Here we go. We spoke with one of the bill's co-sponsors, Senator Lisa Cutter, a Democrat representing Jefferson County. Cutter acknowledges the uphill battle this legislation faces, but said it has proven to provide protections and improve safety of ex-workers in parts of Australia, New Zealand, and Belgium, which have also decriminalized ex-work. And we did a story about this model that they have. It's called the Nordic model. That's in New Zealand, Belgium, and Australia. Y'all can go check that out in one of the earlier videos we did on this. But let's continue. Here we go. These people that are involved in X work need to have some protections, Cutter said. Senator Nick Henderson, Democrat, District 3, Representative Lorena Garcia, Democrat, District 35, and Representative Rebecca Stewart, a Democrat, District 30, are also sponsoring the bill. So this bill is moving through the pipeline right now. Here we go. Nevada has legalized prostitution at licensed brothels in certain rural counties. And Maine has decriminalized selling sexual services while keeping criminal penalties in place for buyers. So in Maine, they made it where the selling of sexual services would be decriminalized, but they're focusing on busting the johns or the tricks. Okay? Y'all pay attention to this and what's going on out here. If passed, Colorado would be the first state to fully decriminalize prostitution, which is notably different than legalization. It won't be fully legal, but it will be decriminalized. Pay attention to the terminologies. Legalizing would require regulatory structure, and that's not what we're doing. And that's per the request of ex-workers, Cutter said. This is what they feel would be the best path for them. And it's what's proven in other countries to be effective. They say it's more effective and the women have more control of what's going on as far as they're not working for a company or a brothel. That's the difference between the decriminalization of sex work and the legalization of sex work. Because if it's legal, then they have to do stuff like work in a brothel. Okay, here we go. Cutter added that the decision surrounding this bill should not be about whether sex work is right or wrong, and that she does not believe it will cause an uptick in sex work. She says the reality is it happens and it will always happen. There are ways to make everyone safer. At least they realize and recognize that the consensual X work will happen. Okay? And these women should have the right to choose what they want to do with their bodies. Mm-hmm. In my opinion. Here we go. People involved in X work often have a difficult time leaving, Cutter said. They get caught up in that cycle because it's on their record, and maybe they can't buy or rent a house, and maybe they can't get another job. It's definitely an impediment. She also said removing legal penalties can help ex workers feel safer to seek health care and ask questions of the purchasers. We think there's better outcomes in terms of X trafficking and violence. It's proven to reduce these things, Cutter said. If I thought the outcomes were not good, weren't all the things I'm saying, I would never sponsor this bill. Okay, seems like they really believe in this bill. But not everyone sees it that way. Safe Places for Women, a faith-based nonprofit in Inglewood that provides transitional housing for victims of sexual trafficking, said in a release that it disagrees with that framework, arguing that the proposed legislation addresses the symptoms of exploitation rather than the root causes. Over the years, we've encountered hundreds of women who's participated in commercial X was driven not by the choice but by survival, trying to keep food on the table and a roof over their children's heads. The organization's founders, Ked Frank, said in the release, "This is not about working conditions, it's about the harm inherent in the industry itself." The Colorado District Attorney Council has formally opposed the bill as well, while the ACLU of Colorado has formally supported it, according to Secretary of State filings. Okay, so it's kind of split both ways on this bill. The SB27 has been assigned to the Senate Judiciary Committee, but is expected to be several more weeks before its first hearing. It is unclear how much support it has in these early days. Okay, that's what they had to say about that. And we got another story about this. We're going to jump straight off into this. Y'all check this out.
Could prostitution be legal in Colorado? There is a bill moving through the Colorado Senate that would decriminalize it, and if it's approved, Colorado would become the first state in the U.S. to fully decriminalize it. Our 9 News legal expert Whitney Traylor joins us now. Thanks for coming in.
Sure, happy to be here.
It's kind of wild to be talking about.
Yeah.
So first, tell us a little bit about this bill. What would be allowed and what wouldn't?
Yeah, so this bill would decriminalize prostitution. So that means actually selling sex and actually those who are soliciting it. So it would take away those criminal penalties. It would also, this is something that I think is important and I think may get some pushback. It will also prevent local counties and local governments from enacting their own laws to outlaw prostitution. So it will be statewide, it will be lawful. So it will still be unlawful to pander, which is to pressure someone to commit sexual acts that they don't want to consensually do, and it will also still outlaw pimping.
What's the reasoning for decriminalizing prostitution?
Well, it's interesting, and there were 4 Democrat sponsors of this bill, and the one primary sponsor, he said that people had come to him, he's out of Pueblo, and he said folks had come to him, sex workers, and said that it's dangerous, and after hearing their stories, he felt that decriminalizing it would actually make it safer, may make it, human trafficking is still unlawful, so it may make distinctions there. So, you know, this is how our representative government works. Somebody comes in and says, hey, here's an issue that we need a law, and then the lawmaker goes and passes that law. And he actually said when there is a hearing and you hear some of these people testify, that it will be persuasive.
Okay. Now, other states like Nevada have practically decriminalized it, but this would go a little bit further, right?
This would go further. So there's a couple states that go very far. So most people think about Nevada, but Nevada, it's still, there's certain counties that they have outlawed prostitution, so it's not statewide. And then it's specifically regulated for houses of prostitution or brothels. So here it would just be across the board. And Maine is another place where they have said that selling sex is lawful, but soliciting sex is unlawful. And so they could go after the men who are seeking the prostitution, but the women who are performing the sex acts, they don't have criminal activity, and that was for safety reasons too. So those are 2 states that have went very far, but if Colorado passes this law, it will be the farthest in the country.
All right, so if this passes, what's the timeline, and do you expect any litigation around it?
I do think there would be some litigation if it passes. Some folks arguing the constitutionality of it. I think it's supposed to go in effective immediately, so I suspect it would be in effect by July. So it will
This July?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, if it passes. So I'm not sure. Obviously, we have a Democrat-controlled legislature and obviously a Democrat governor. The governor has not indicated whether or not he would sign this if it did pass, and I'm not sure what other Democrat representatives, how they feel about it. So even though there's 4 Democrat sponsors on it.
Do you expect any unintended consequences if this law does pass?
That's a good question. Yes, I do think there will be some unintended consequences. I mean, some folks are saying, well, the social normalization is then sort of putting our moral compass a little further along. And some people could argue, well, we now have gambling in the state, we have legalized marijuana, we have mushrooms, now we may have prostitution. So some people may say, hey, we're becoming Sin City.
Right.
In many respects. And it's a question if the laws keep getting pushed. That's the Second Amendment folks' argument is, hey, if you limit my gun just a little bit here, you're going to keep pushing. And so the question is, hey, will we keep pushing in towards this sort of morally amorphous area?
Yeah. How far will the pendulum swing?
Yes, exactly right. So, yeah, that's potentially one.
Very interesting. When you sent your list of ideas for this week, I saw this one and I was like, what? We got to talk about that.
Yes.
So keep your eye on it. Let us know what happens.
Yeah, we'll know. It'll go to committee, and then it will go, if it gets out of the committee, which it's a 5-2 committee where it's first 5 Democrats and 2 Republicans. So it probably will get out of committee, and then we'll see what the rest of the legislature does.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Whitney, as always, thank you.
And there you have it. Colorado is set on leading the way when it comes to legalizing or decriminalizing prostitution. Okay? Shout out to Colorado for that one. And as you all know, we here at International Star Media, the Gold Star Standard, at the Gold Star Standard, we support adult consensual sex workers 100%. Colorado looks like Colorado. Shout out to Denver. Yeah, see you soon. International Star Media, the Gold Star Standard, at the Gold Star Standard. Reactions, reviews, and news you can use. Once again, I am your host, International Yada, for the Records and the Dollars, and we will see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share the video.